What if the biggest financial mistake you're making isn't because you're making bad decisions, but because you're following rules that no longer belong in today's world? For decades, we've all been taught the same formula: study hard, get a stable job, work for 40 years, save your money, buy a house, retire someday. For a long time, that advice made perfect sense. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the world that created those rules has disappeared. Today, artificial intelligence can replace years of experience overnight. A teenager with a laptop can build $1 million business from a bedroom. One piece of content can reach millions of people in less than 24 hours. Money moves faster. Technology evolves faster. Opportunities appear and disappear faster than ever before. Yet millions of people are still following financial advice written for a completely different era. And that's exactly why they're working harder while feeling like they're getting further behind. By the end of this video, you'll discover why the wealthy are playing a completely different financial game. The financial rules that quietly changed while most people weren't paying attention. And the mindset you need if you want to thrive in the next decade instead of simply surviving it. But that's only the beginning. History teaches us one lesson over and over again. Every time the world changes, money changes. The Industrial Revolution created factories. The internet created digital businesses. And now, artificial intelligence is creating opportunities we've never seen before. The biggest fortunes in history were never built by the people who worked the hardest. They were built by the people who recognized that the rules had changed before everyone else did. Most people spend years learning how to earn money. Very few ever learn how wealth is actually created. That's the difference. In this video, we're going to uncover why traditional financial advice is becoming less effective, how modern wealth is really built, and the new financial principles that could shape the next 10 years of your life. Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you think about money forever. Imagine waking up in the year 1985. No internet, no smartphones, no social media, no online businesses, no artificial intelligence. Now imagine telling someone back then, one day, a teenager will make millions of dollars simply by posting videos online. Most people would have laughed, not because it was impossible, but because they couldn't imagine a world that different. History has a strange pattern. The biggest changes never happen slowly. They happen all at once. And when they do, most people don't realize the rules have changed until years later. That's exactly what's happening today. Technology isn't just improving, it's accelerating. Every year, new tools replace old ones. Entire industries disappear. New careers are created almost overnight. And yet, many people still plan their financial future as if nothing has changed. They still believe that working longer hours is the only path to success. They still believe that one stable job is the safest option. They still believe that saving money alone will make them financially secure. But here's the question: what if those beliefs were designed for a world that no longer exists? Think about this. Your grandparents lived in a world where information was scarce, knowledge was expensive, opportunities were local, competition was limited. Today, knowledge is free, opportunities are global, competition is worldwide, and artificial intelligence is changing everything faster than ever before. The game has changed, but most players are still using the old rulebook. That creates a dangerous illusion. People think they're falling behind because they aren't working hard enough. In reality, many are simply climbing the wrong mountain. Working harder doesn't matter if you're moving in the wrong direction. Imagine trying to win a Formula One race using a horse. No matter how determined you are, you'll never beat the cars, not because you're lazy, not because you're untalented, but because you're using the wrong vehicle for a completely different race. The same thing happens with money. Many people are trying to solve 21st century problems with 20th century strategies, and every year, the gap becomes larger. The wealthiest people in today's world don't just work differently, they think differently. They see change as an opportunity, while everyone else sees it as a threat. That's why every major technological revolution creates new millionaires and leaves millions of others wondering what happened. The question is, which group will you belong to? But recognizing that the world has changed is only the first step. The next question is even more important. If working harder isn't enough anymore, what are the wealthy actually doing differently? That's exactly what we'll uncover next. Think about your last paycheck. How did you earn it? For most people, the answer is simple. You traded your time for money, you worked 8 hours, you got paid for 8 hours. If you stop working, the income stops too. At first glance, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's how most of the world earns a living. But there's one problem. Time is the only resource you can never get back. Every person on Earth has exactly 24 hours in a day. Not 25, not 30, 24. That means if your income depends entirely on your time, there is always a limit to how much you can earn. Now compare that with someone who creates a digital product. Maybe it's an online course, a mobile app, a software tool, a YouTube video, or even a best-selling book. They may spend months creating it, but once it's finished, it can be sold thousands or even millions of times without starting over. That is called leverage. Leverage is the ability to create results that are much greater than the effort you put in. The richest people in the world understand this principle better than anyone. They don't just work harder, they build systems. Systems that continue generating value long after the original work is finished. Think about a musician. They record one song. Years later, millions of people are still listening to it. The artist continues earning royalties. Or think about a software company. The first version may take years to develop, but once it's built, the next customer costs almost nothing to serve. That's why technology companies can grow so quickly. Now compare that to someone who is paid by the hour. Every new dollar requires another hour of work. It's a race that never ends. This doesn't mean having a job is bad. Every successful entrepreneur once started by exchanging time for money. The difference is, they eventually stopped relying on time alone. Instead, they began building assets. Assets work even when you don't. Assets generate income while you sleep. Assets create freedom. The modern economy rewards ownership far more than effort. Own content, own businesses, own investments, own intellectual property, own systems, because ownership creates leverage, and leverage creates wealth. Ask yourself one question. If you couldn't work for the next 6 months, would your income continue? For most people, the answer is no. For many wealthy individuals, the answer is yes. That single difference changes everything. But even leverage isn't the biggest advantage the wealthy have. There's another habit that quietly separates those who build wealth from those who spend their entire lives chasing it, and almost nobody talks about it. For decades, we've been taught to avoid risk. Choose the safe career, find a secure company, stay in your comfort zone, don't make mistakes, don't fail. At first, that sounds like smart advice, but what if the world has changed so much that playing it safe has become the biggest risk of all? Think about some of the largest companies in history. Many of them were once considered unstoppable. They dominated their industries. They had loyal customers, strong brands, thousands of employees, yet many disappeared, not because they lacked money, not because they lacked talent, but because they believed yesterday's success would guarantee tomorrow's future. History has proven the same lesson over and over again. Change doesn't destroy businesses. Ignoring change does. The same principle applies to individuals. Imagine two people starting their careers on the same day. They earn the same salary. They have similar skills. The first person believes everything they've learned is enough. The second person spends just 1 hour every day learning something new. Artificial intelligence, communication, investing, marketing, technology, leadership. After 10 years, who do you think has more opportunities? Who has more confidence? Who earns more? The difference isn't intelligence, it's adaptation. In today's economy, learning is no longer something you do before your career begins. Learning is your career. The people who grow the fastest are not always the smartest. They're the ones who can learn, unlearn, and relearn. Artificial intelligence is a perfect example. Some people fear it, others ignore it. But another group is asking a completely different question. How can I use this tool to multiply my productivity? That simple question changes everything. Every technological revolution rewards those who adapt early. When the internet appeared, some people complained. Others built billion-dollar companies. When smartphones arrived, some resisted. Others created entire industries around them. Now artificial intelligence is opening another door. The question isn't whether the world will change. It already has. The real question is, will you change with it? Because in the next decade, the greatest advantage won't belong to the person who knows the most. It will belong to the person who can learn the fastest. But even learning faster isn't enough. There's one final principle that quietly separates people who build lasting wealth from those who keep starting over, and it has nothing to do with money itself. If you ask most people why they go to work every day, the answer is simple: to make money. It sounds obvious, but here's something worth thinking about. Money has never been the goal. Money is simply a reward. The real question is, a reward for what? The answer is value. Every dollar you earn is a reflection of the value you create for someone else. Think about it. Why does one person earn $10 an hour, while another earns $10,000 for a single speech? Why can one business barely survive, while another grows into a $1 billion company? The answer isn't luck alone. It's the size of the problem they're solving. The marketplace doesn't reward effort, it rewards value. Imagine two people working equally hard. The first person spends 8 hours digging a hole with a shovel. The second spends 8 hours designing software that saves 1 million people just 1 minute every day. Who creates more value? Who deserves greater rewards? The difference isn't how hard they worked, it's the impact of their work. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts you can ever make. Stop asking, how can I make more money? Start asking, how can I create more value? Because once you become valuable, money starts chasing you. The world's most successful entrepreneurs rarely began with the goal of becoming rich. They began by solving problems, making communication easier, making transportation faster, making shopping more convenient, making knowledge accessible. Money followed because value came first. This is why skills matter more than titles. A job title can disappear. A valuable skill can create opportunities anywhere in the world. In today's digital economy, you don't need permission to create value. You don't need a large office. You don't need hundreds of employees. Sometimes all you need is an idea, a laptop, an internet connection, and the willingness to solve a real problem. The people who will thrive over the next decade won't necessarily be those with the highest degrees. They'll be the people who continuously ask, what problem can I solve better than anyone else? Because wealth is rarely created by chasing money. It's created by becoming impossible to ignore. So if the world has changed, if leverage matters more than labor, if learning matters more than certainty, and if value matters more than money, then only one question remains. What should you do next? Let's bring everything together. The rules have changed, have you? Take a moment and think about everything we've covered today. The world,